Alrighty, everybody. This is a surprise. I don't normally come on Friday mornings, but I did a paper pumpkin alternative class yesterday. We have a group of ladies that subscribe through me or my team members, and we design paper pumpkins every single month. And I decided, why aren't I putting these on my Facebook and my YouTube? So I'm going to do that today. But we usually we design 6 every single month, and so what I'm going to do is, so that this isn't a really long video, I'm going to show you the first 3 on this part 1, and then I'll be doing a part 2 possibly later today, possibly next week. We'll see. You'll have to be watching to see when I just pop in. So anyway, I want to get going and get this going for you, but let me cover... So sorry, I left that totally on my face the whole time. Can you tell it's early morning for me? Oh my goodness, people, please excuse that. So let's cover some housekeeping this morning. So if you do decide that you would like to place an order with me, please use that hostess code. You can order through me at juliebrown.stampinup.net. And then that shows you on my Pinterest and Facebook. Obviously, you're either watching me on Facebook or YouTube, so you already know those. And then make sure you stop in on to my blog and check out some of the articles and stuff that I've written about stamping and card making there. I would love to have you tune into my blog and let me know what you think about that. So let's get started. Okay, so this month has a really pretty box. Just so you guys all know, they don't all get this beautiful box. Most of them are orange. But what's cool about Paper Pumpkin is, so we have 2 types of kits. We have Paper Pumpkin, and then we have our Kits collection. The Kits collection are online. You can go to my online store, and you already know what the kit is. Sometimes the fun, and maybe not so much fun, about Paper Pumpkin is that it's a surprise. So we don't know what we're getting each and every month, but it's an exciting surprise. But as you can see, this box for July is absolutely beautiful. But there's several ways that you can subscribe to Paper Pumpkin. You can either do like a 3-month subscription, 6-month subscription, 12-month subscription, or you can do a month-to-month subscription. So there's lots of different options. Now, I do a month-to-month subscription that I get obviously for myself. But I also get some for my grandkids because they love making these too. So if you guys are looking for, I know this is early for Christmas, but if you're looking for an early Christmas gift or a thought for what to get grandchildren, this is it. Now, my grandchildren started when they were 3, but they had me helping them. But really easy for them to do paper pumpkins, and it's one of the favorite things that they get excited about each and every month. So if you've got more questions about that, let me know. Okay, so this is the paper pumpkin that we're going to do, and so I'll show you a little bit about what you get when you do a paper pumpkin. Now you can see I've punched out some of this stuff. So it comes with everything that you need to put it together. So you get an ink spot, you get the stamp set, you get the cards and the envelopes. And so we are going to go through this, and I am going to show you 3 of the cards that I designed and how I kind of take these and change them up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we are going to work with, here's one of the card bases. And so I'm basically, my first 3 cards are going to basically be designed using this card base and this envelope. So let's get these cut apart so you guys can follow along with me, and I'll show you how we do these. So basically for this one, I'm just going to cut this card in half. Now understand, you guys don't have to do the alternatives. If you just get the cards and you don't want to think past the alternatives, or you maybe don't have extra supplies, then you don't have to do it. You can just do what's in there, because the cards that come in there and the designs are absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I am going to cut this down to 5 1/4. Oh no, I wasn't going to do that on that one. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Ignore that. So on this side, we're going to cut this down to 1-inch strips. And you should end up with 5. I may have messed myself up by cutting that end off. We will see. So we're going to cut 1-inch strips. I think I'll be okay. And we need 5 of these. So this is the back of that card base. All right, so there we go. Then what we're going to do is we are going to turn these, and let me pull this down so you guys can see. And we're going to cut 2 of these at 4. So we're going to kind of get all the cuts out of the way, and then I'll show you how I put these together. Okay, so 2 at 4, and then we're going to do 1 at 3.5, or sorry, let's do the 3 3/4. So then we'll do a 3 3/4, a 3.5, and a 3 1/4. All right, and that'll give you 5 of these. So just set those to the side. And all these little strips, save these because I sometimes add those to the cards. Then we're going to take the front of this, and this is going to cut down to 4 by 5 1/4. Now, most of the design is on this left side, so I'm going to measure to 4 over here, and we're going to cut that. So basically, I'm just cutting off this white strip, and then I'm going to turn and cut it to 5 1/4. Alrighty. Okay, and we're going to set this to the side. Okay, now we're going to cut up the envelope, and the way that I do this is I basically just, on my cutter, we've got this track here, and I just line it up to the far side of that track because we just want to cut the tiniest little sliver off these ends so that we can open the envelope. Isn't that pretty? And I'm gonna show you all, I'm gonna show you 6 different cards, only 3 this morning, and then I'll show you the other 3. Okay, so now that we have this open, now what I'm gonna do is I am going to cut again right on this score line, and I'm gonna save this piece here, and then I always kind of fold where the flap is just so I can see that score line better. And basically, I think I'm going to cut this down first because that gives me a little bit more use of this. So we're going to cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4, just a normal mat. And then, like I said, guys, save all these strips because you may use them. So we're going to set that to the side. Then I am going to take this piece here, and we are going to cut right along that score line, so that we get another little strip here. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this to 3/4. So actually it's easier for me to measure to the right side. Okay, and then what I do, I'm gonna save this because I may need part of this. But then what I do is I quickly kind of go as close as I can to this edge, and I get this piece so that it's straight, because I don't know if you guys can see, but this has kind of a curved edge. And when I'm working with all these parts and pieces, I need them to be straight right off the bat so that I can do my cutting. And then we're going to need this to be 4 inches. So that's 3/4 by 4 inches. And again, I don't think we're going to need this piece, but you never know. So I'm just going to put all those to the side. All right. That's all the cutting that we need to do to get creating with these cards. All right. So our first card, I am actually bringing in a fresh freesia card base. We're going to be using this pocket that we just cut out. We're going to be using that card front. We're going to be using that 3/4 by 4" piece that we cut off the envelope flap, and then we're going to use this little sentiment label that is in your paper pumpkin kit. All right, so let's get going with this first card on designing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in our stamp set, and so I'm going to show you a couple of things, because these ends right here, these can make really good places to stamp, like some extra sentiments that you may want to cut out later. And so I'm just going to use the one that says, "Let's celebrate you." And I'm going to do it in black memento ink. But I'm just kind of trying to show you how you can get a lot of use out of all of these parts and pieces. Okay. Then what you can do is I'm going to take my paper snips, and I am just going to cut right along this line here. And then I'm going to save this sentiment for later. It may be something that I want to pull and put on a card at a later date. But I've got to cut right up against this because I need this middle section to stamp on. Okay. And what's nice about this is because it's doubled up, so it makes this kind of nice and thick for a sentiment. So that's just something that I'm going to put to the side for later. Oh, let me clean that stamp. Now, for most of these cards, I'm actually going to use the gray granite ink for the sentiments. If you choose to do something a little bit different, that's fine. You can pick whatever color you like the best. Oh, the other thing I'm bringing in, sorry, is a 4 by 5 1/4 basic white matte. Okay, so here we have this right here. And now what I'm going to do is ink up that flower. And I need to get 3 of them on this inside of this envelope. So we have to be kind of strategic with the way that we stamp this on here. So we're going to stamp 1 right there. And we'll bring this one in maybe this way. And if you guys are on with me, you can make comments. You can let me know that you're here. I'm not expecting too many people to be on this early because this is a surprise. Nobody knew I was doing this. But if you do pop in, let me know. And like I said, this was, oh, Patricia, thanks, from the Netherlands. Wow. So happy you're here with me. So this was the design that I used for my paper pumpkin class yesterday. Okay. So now we've got 3 of these stamped here. And what I decided to do with these is to use our watercolor pencils. Oh, sorry. While I had that out, I needed to, the other place you're going to stamp is on this 4 by 5 1/4. We're going to stamp another one of these flowers down in this right-hand corner. I kind of like to get all my stamping done first. Then I can do all my coloring. So let's go ahead and get the sentiments done for this one. And again, understand, if you don't want to use the sentiments that are in your paper pumpkin, you don't need to. But I liked them, so we're going to use them. So where's that? Okay, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to set this down here. Now, you guys know I've told you time and time again, one of the best ways to make sure that you stamp right is to make sure what you're stamping on is straight to begin with. And I know you guys probably can't see that super good because it's white on white down there. But I'm going to ink this up with my ink spot that came in my paper pumpkin kit. And then I am just going to stamp this onto that little label. Okay, so there you go. And I'll set that to the side. And then for the inside, this says, "Let's celebrate you." And again, you can bring in a happy birthday at this point. You can bring in whatever you want. But I wanted to use the, You're Simply the Best stamp that, again, was part of our paper pumpkin kit. What I really tried to focus on this month was not bringing in a lot of extra stuff. Obviously, we always need to bring in some cardstock if we're going to cut these cards apart. We're going to need, you know, card bases and stuff, but I'm really trying to stay within what we have in our kit. Okay, and then You're Simply the Best. Okay, so there we go. Now let's get our coloring done, and then we'll get this first card put together. Alrighty. So I am going to be bringing in, again, like I said, you know, our blender pens come in a package of 3. And then I'm going to be bringing in, this is the watercolor pencils assortment 1, I do believe. And so I'm going to be using Fresh Freesia, if I can get them out. Come on. Cajun Craze, and Mossy Meadow. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these 3 flowers a little bit different. Each one's going to be a little bit different. Now let me see if I can come in just a bit so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And excuse me 1 second, I need to turn my fan on. It's a little bit warm down here this morning. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Fresh Freesia. And I don't know how you guys use your watercolor pencils, but basically where I want it darker, I put more pressure. So I'm just going to color here, and I'm going to put more pressure, and then I'm going to bring it out here again, and I'm putting, you know, pressure so that it's as dark as I want. Then when I do this top part, I just kind of squiggle some circles up here. I don't do exact coloring because that's what our blender pen is going to help us with. Same thing over here. I'm just going to make it darker down here. And then I'm just going to put some squiggle up here for the color. Okay, and then for the leaves, again, I'm just going to kind of use the lines that are already there, and I'm pushing fairly hard with the Mossy Meadow, and then just doing a little bit of color in there. And then again, I'm just going to kind of squiggle some other color on here. Okay, so the magic comes when you use your blending pens. And these got used in my class yesterday, so they're... but I do want to show you that even though you see color on here, you can always check, because if you swipe it off here and you don't see any color, that color does not come off when you're coloring. So the way that I use my blender pen is I start from the center where the darkest color is, and I just kind of start moving this up. So one, it kind of moves the darker, it blends the darker into the lighter. And I don't know if you guys can see, hopefully you guys can see the magic happening, where it just kind of blends these together. And same thing over here. That kind of takes the, you know, difficulty out of coloring. Now you can absolutely just take these and color with them, and you don't need to use the blender pens, and they look fine. But I'm kind of a lazy colorer, so I like to just be able to kind of not color everything exact, and then bring these blender pens in to do that smooth blending to make it look like I'm just a really good colorer. Okay, so there we go with that one. Okay, so that's the first one. Now the second one I'm going to do in Calypso Coral. And it's this exact same method each time, but the last one I'm going to actually do some blending between the colors. Okay, so again, I'm just going to bring these in, and then just kind of scribble up here. I call it scribbling. I'm just kind of going in a circular motion. Same thing here, circular motion. Bring in my Mossy Meadow. and then circular. So you guys can see I'm not like, I mean, this is not something that I would give to somebody if that's all I did as far as the coloring. Okay, so then here's where the magic happens, and we take this and we blend all that in so that it looks nice and pretty. So here we go with that. And we're going to do this one. And then you'll notice I'm just, like I do wipe it off. Can you see how when I first start wiping, you can see the color? And then I just flip to the other side because I already know that this is the side that I'm using green on. And I wouldn't even have to clean this green side because obviously I'm using that for all of these leaves. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, so then for this third one, we're going to combine the colors. And so I'm going to come in with the Calypso Coral. Hopefully I've been saying Calypso Coral. I get for some reason, I always want to say Cajun Craze instead of Calypso Coral. I don't know why. So this is going to be my darker color. And then I'm going to come in. Now this time I'm not going to be as light as I was with the other ones. When I bring in this color, I am going to have this a little bit darker. So I'm just, and to make it darker, you just put a little bit more pressure. I'm still doing that, you know, circular scribbling type thing. But I'm just putting the color down a little bit darker. And the reason is because I'm going to try to blend these two colors together. And so I want enough of that fresh freesia color on there so that it will blend. Okay, so now we're going to bring in that blending brush. Again, I'm going to make sure it was clean. And now I'm just going to take this and we're going to just and I'm not pushing hard at all with my blender pen. But I'm going to blend those together. And you'll see how it pulls that Calypso Coral up into the petal. And do that over here. All right, same thing here. Now, if you do want to decide to go back over and make things a little bit darker, you do need to let it dry just a bit before you try to bring in your watercolor pencil back in to add more color. Because this blender pen does make this wet. Okay, so there's those three. And then I'm going to do my combination again on this one. So, except this time I'm going to start, I always do things a little bit different. I can't ever do anything exactly the same. So this time I'm going to push pretty hard with the fresh freesia and get that as the base color here. And then I'm going to come in with the Calypso Coral, and I'm not going to push this one as light because I feel like this is kind of the darker color anyway. So I'm just going to come in here. I mean, have fun with your watercolors. I mean, mix and match your colors. Sometimes you're going to like the way they look, sometimes you aren't. And that's part of the creative process when you're designing, is just play with it a little bit and see what you like. Because guys, there's sometimes I do things and I think I'm gonna like it, and I'm like, oh no, I don't like that too much. All right, so bringing in that blender pen. Like so. You're going to get to see me color with the watercolors, and then on one of these other cards I'm actually going to be using our, oops, I need to do the other side, or need to do the leaves. I'm going to be using our blends, our Stampin' Blends, which are an alcohol-based pen. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now I'm going to be using my small Stamp and Cut Emboss machine. And so I need to kind of cut this so that it will fit, because it only fits like 3 inches. It's only 3 inches across. So I'm just going to kind of cut between these. If I was using my big one, I could have put the whole thing on there. So now we're going to bring in our die cuts, which were the add-on for this. And let me bring you guys back out now. So that was the add-on, was the die cut, or the dies. Sorry, I'm looking for my take your pick tool to make sure I've got the, all right. So now we're just going to, these 3 that we stamped and colored on that envelope pocket. We're just going to die cut these out, and then we are going to be ready to put this first card together. Okay, so we're just going to run that through. Be patient with me. You get to watch me do all 3 of these. When I'm doing paper pumpkin, a lot of times I can't cut things ahead of time because you only have so many supplies in your kit, right? And so because I want to show you the step-by-step process, I don't always have the extra pieces to stamp on, especially when we're using like I did with this one, where we used that envelope to stamp on. But hopefully I'm showing you a good use of that, the part of the envelope that sometimes gets tossed because it doesn't have any color and it's just white. And I'm trying to be creative and help you guys get the most out of your kits. All right, and then we got one more, and then we're gonna be putting this card together. So remember, I used 1 card base and 1 envelope, and we're gonna end up with 3 cards out of those, just those 2 things. So as you're watching me do this, just think about different colors you could use, you could pick some of the other card fronts and card bases and do these same layouts, but just change up the color and it will make the cards look different. Okay, let's get this out of the way. All right. Okay, so we have our 3 flowers. We have our little sentiment. So let's bring in the Fresh Freesia card base. And I'm going to burnish that edge right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the inside in because it's ready to go because we colored and stamped it. And I'm just using my Stampin' Seal Plus for this. Maybe, if I can pick it up. So what time, Patricia, is it in the Netherlands? It's probably either late at night, if I'm guessing. I guess it could be in the afternoon. I don't think I got that on there real straight. I try not to push everything down like super hard when I'm first putting things on, just in case that happens where I don't get it straight. Okay, then we're going to shut this. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on the bottom. But you want to be careful with the way that you add your glue here. So I'm putting the glue on this far end, top to bottom, and then just a little squiggly line across the bottom because I want to be able to stick these flowers behind it. 1648, that must be military time. So let me think. I used to know how to do that. So like 4, almost 5 o'clock there. Is that right? All right, so this is going to go on this bottom edge here. Like so. And then always kind of check to make sure you haven't gone off the edges, because if you want to trim some of that, you'll want to do that before you put this on the card base. All right, and then this is going to go on the card base. Like so. And then our sentiments actually going to just fit right down here, so let's get that on there, and then we'll get the flowers on. Oh, last half hour at work. Oh, yay. So is it Friday there, or are you on Saturday already? Are you guys a day ahead of us? Because it's Friday here. So we're going to stick that right there. Okay. So then I want my fresh freezer one to be the one in the middle. So I'm just going to take these, and they're all going to be at kind of different levels. But you'll notice, and I'll show you why I do this, I am only putting glue like close to the center. I'm not putting glue on all of it, and I'll explain that in a hot second. So this is going to kind of fit down like so. And then I'm going to bring this one in on this side, and it's going to be a little bit higher. Again, I'm trying to keep the glue. Oh, that didn't pop that out. Or I guess it did. It was something else. Kind of in that center section. And I'm going to let this one be, just barely stick that tip in there. And it's going to be higher. And then this one, I'm going to end up cutting like these leaves off, and even up to this leaf right here. Whoops. Because it needs to kind of fit down quite a ways. Okay, again, I'm just going to put my glue kind of in the center section. And then this is going to fit right down here, covering some of the leaves but not the petals. Okay, so why did I put the glue just in the middle? The reason I did that is because I want to be able to fold up parts of these leaves to give this card some fun dimension. And so that's why I do it that way. You've got enough glue to keep it nice and secure, but it also allows you to fold up some of those leaves. So let me bring that closer so you can see. Can you see how fun that looks when you're able to fold that up like that? Okay, and then to finish this off, oh, I do this every time. I sit everything out. Oh, there we go. So to finish this off, we're just going to bring in some of those sequins that are in your kit. And I'm just going to bring in, and I'm just going to put them on the, down here on where the sentiment is. Now, it's totally up to you. This is where I tell you, go crazy with your creativity, and see where all you may want to put these. So you might want to put some more up there. Okay, so guys, card 1 is done. So there we go. And then if you open that, there's the inside. Woohoo! Okay. So our next card, this one's going to be pretty quick and easy. So you're going to need a the thick Whisper White card base. And we're just going to fold that. I'm going to do the inside of this card first, just because I'm going to be building some layers on the front of this card. So I want to make sure I get the inside done first. Okay. So what I did with this card is, again, I think I did that "You're Simply the Best," so let's get that stamped on the inside. And again, like I said, guys, if you have other sentiment stamps, if you're just all you do is Paper Pumpkin, make sure that you're pulling out some of your other stamp sets from past Paper Pumpkins so that you can possibly use some of those stamps if you want to do some different sentiments. Okay, there's the You're Simply the Best. Then I'm going to take this flower one, and I am going to just kind of, just this top section, ink it up, and then I'm going to bring in this here. And then what I'm going to do is clean that, because now I want to just bring in that little flower a couple of times. And this one you have to pay attention to what you're inking up. Now, there are some solutions to this. So if you're afraid that you might not be able to get this inked up without getting it where you don't want it, you can bring in like this. These are my little Post-it. It's like on a strip. And so I'm just going to kind of bring this in and cover that. And then I can ink this up pretty easily. And then I'm just going to pull that off before I stamp. That's kind of the key thing here. And then I'm just going to bring in that little flower over there. Okay? And then I can do that like a million times. I can put this back over here, and I'm going to ink it up. The key is, and you guys might be laughing, but the key is to make sure you pull this off, because I cannot tell you how many times I have done this and forgotten to pull that little piece off, and then obviously you get that little mess on your card. Okay, so let's clean this, and then I got to clean that sentiment stamp. So we're going to clean this and clean this one. Do you hear the squeaky squeaky? So that is our Simply Chamois, if you don't know what that is. Okay, so then what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring in some Calypso Coral ink and a little blending brush, just to add a little bit of color to this inside. So I'm just going to pick this up, and I'm just going to kind of go off, because I want this to be super light. Oh, good morning from Alberta, Canada. Wow. Okay, so we're on card 2. And so again, I want this to be really light. I don't want this to be super dark, but I just want to add some color to the flowers. Alrighty. And then what we're going to do is we're working on the inside. For those for Kathy, you've just joined us. Thank you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, remember those strips that I was cutting earlier? And it doesn't even matter if it fits all the way across, because it's okay if it doesn't. And I'm just going to add this to the bottom of this. Just going to put some glue down. And we're just going to add this little strip. That's why I always tell everybody when we're cutting up our paper pumpkin, keep all these little pieces, because you may want to add them at some point. Okay, so that's going to be, so that's the inside. So see, that gives it just a really fun look by adding that there. Okay, so for the front of this, this one's going to be pretty simple, but I wanted to rough up the edges. Now, I have this fun little tool that I got from Tim Holtz years ago. And I think we all need to write into Stampin' Up! And say, can you add this tool to the top of our Take Your Pick, right? But you can do this with scissors. You can do this with a rough emery board. But I just want to really rough up the edges of this. Now, because this came from the inside of the envelope, this paper's pretty thin. So you do want to be careful. Don't get too rough, because you could, like, you know, as you're holding this to do this, you could end up tearing it. So you want to be kind of careful. And we're just going to rough up these edges. Yeah, I really would like Stampin' Up! To make one of these tools so that we can add it to our Take Your Pick tool. It would be so cool. All right, so here we go. We're just going to rough up this edge. Okay, so we're still roughing up edges here. And once we get this done, I'm going to actually pick this paper up and get rid of all those little frayed edges. And then you kind of want to like wipe your finger across all this to get more of those frayed edges. Now I'm going to have a Mossy Meadow. I've got a sponge dauber, and I put this in Mossy Meadow ink. And now I'm just going to, this is what we used to, in scrapbooking, it's called chalking the edges. And so, so I am just going to come here and I am just going to chalk these edges. Okay. Now I may have to put this back in ink. The ladies that were in my class yesterday, they kept re-inking this, and so it had so much ink on it. I kind of figured, which it looks like it's working, I wasn't going to have to re-ink this. Okay, and you just want to chalk that edges because that just gives it an extra little pop when you're putting this on a card front. Again, you guys probably saw some of those little edges coming off, and you definitely want to get those off your pages. Now, you'll notice that there's some white fuzzy on the end of this. To get it off, you just kind of swirl that around, and then you might have to, and then that's gone from your sponge dauber. Okay, so now we're just going to stick this on our card front. And look how pretty that would be on a card front, right? You could still rough up those edges and chalk around the edges, and it's gonna, I almost put it down that way. It's like, stop thinking ahead because then I'm gonna do the card wrong. Okay, so now we're gonna lay this down here. Like so. Then we're going to bring in this, I call these kind of the daisy looking flowers. And so now we're going to bring in the daisy looking flowers. And we want this to kind of be towards the top. So again, I'm just going to bring in my liquid glue. And you can, if you guys don't have extra glue and all you have is the glue dots that are in your kit, you can absolutely use those for this. I'm going to try to get a couple of these corners so that they stay down. Okay, so then we're going to flip that over. And then we're going to try to center it left and right, but then try to put it up towards the top. Okay, and then we're going to press that down. And then where's that sentiment that I stamped? Didn't I? Oh, I don't think I stamped the sentiment yet for this one, did I? Okay, so for this one, trying to remember which one goes with this one. I think it's this one. Yeah, I'm so lucky to have a friend like you. And then of course the thing on the inside is you're simply the best. And you guys, don't forget, like, you could still use these sentiments and then just write happy birthday in there if you want to send it to, you know, a friend for their birthday. Okay, so there's that stamped onto that sentiment. Then we're just going to add this to this little orange strip. And so I'm just going to put glue across the bottom. And stick that down. And maybe pick it up. Oh my gosh, my hands are already a mess. Just started this morning and already a hot mess. Okay, then I'm going to bring in our dimensionals from our paper pumpkin kit. And we are going to just pop this up. And you might even want to put one up here to kind of hold it in place. So sometimes, you know, it's not about getting like super fancy, but it's about adding technique. So like this one, we roughed up the edges and just added a fun technique to make this card look cool. So what do you guys think? I'm lucky to have you in my life with that roughed up edge. And then on the inside, you're simply the best. Okay, so that's card 2. Okay, card 3. Okay, now card 3 is another one. I told you that I was going to make 3 cards with, you know, the one card base and the one envelope. I did need to use another one of these, but the fact that you're going to be probably cutting up a bunch of these, again, it's not a big deal. I had these I thought I did. I do have, hold on. I'm trying to find my kit because I had, or no, I don't have those. I thought I had them already done so you didn't have to watch me stamp again, but you're going to have to. Okay, so this, we're actually going to use our blending pens instead of our, the colored pencils like I just did. So, and I'm not cutting this edge off. So again, I'm gonna try to get 3 of these on here. I think that's probably like the hardest thing with this is getting the 3 flowers on here so that you can, you know, color and cut them out. You gotta angle, angle, angle. And ooh, I got that's pretty close, so I'm gonna have to fussy cut around that edge. And then I want to come up here with this one. Okay, so this time I am going to use Calypso Coral with, let's see, we're gonna do some fun blending with the, what is this one? The Peach Pie and the Calypso Coral blends. So let's have some fun. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do, we're going to do dark Calypso Coral, dark Peach Pie, and then light Calypso Coral. And I'm going to try to do this fairly fast, just so you guys aren't having... Oh, dang it, I pulled Cajun Craze. I told you I get these 2 mixed up all the time. Okay, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I don't know what it is with me, Calypso Coral and Cajun Craze. So I'm just going to kind of go over that. Now that's going to be a little bit darker than the rest, but that's okay. It won't hurt anything. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with the dark Peach Pie, and that's going to be kind of my next little level here. I'm trying not to color too fast because I don't want to go like out of the lines too much. And then I'm going to come in with the light Calypso Coral, and I'm going to fill in this part up here on the top first. And then I'm going to go over the whole thing to blend everything together. And what that does is it gives us that light kind of peachy color in the middle of this flower. So I know a lot of times we don't think about blending 2 different colors together, but that's absolutely what our blends are for, is for doing that. So I'm going to do all of the petals first, and then I'll come back and do the leaves really quick in the end, and then we'll get this cut out, and then we'll get this card put together. But do you see how fun that is when you add 2 different colors together? It's a lot of fun. Okay, now that I have the right color. All right, so here's my Calypso Coral. And the nice thing is you're gonna do, you're gonna do this a little different. Like on some of them, you won't come up as high. So it does make all of your flowers look a little bit different, which to me makes them look a little bit more realistic. Because, You know, I have rose bushes outside, and I can tell you that no, you know, each of the roses come out looking a little bit different. And so that's why I like this combination look, because it just gives them each kind of their own little look. Okay, then we're just gonna blend over the top of that. I know watching people color can sometimes be boring, but I wanted to walk you guys through these steps so that if you're sitting there trying to come up with ideas for your paper pumpkin, hopefully I'm showing you enough of the steps that you can recreate these cards if you like them. All right, and let's finish off with that last flower. Okay, again, we're going to do Calypso Coral. And like I said, I'm doing each one just a little bit different. So we're going to add the dark peach pie. And again, guys, if you don't have all of these colors, then find a combination that you like, or just do the Calypso Coral if that's all that you have. I'm just trying to give you some ideas on blending different colors together. And for me, the easiest way to do that. And if you guys haven't worked with the blends before, always understand that they do end up drying lighter than when you're coloring them. So this may look kind of dark when we first get going with it, but then it does lighten up as we go. Okay, so there's our petals. Let me bring that up closer so you can see them. Okay, and then we're going to bring in Mossy Meadow. And these I'm going to do almost exactly like I did with the watercolor. I'm just going to do the dark Mossy Meadow on the lines that are already there. And then these little ones I do the light. Okay, so then we're just going to come in and blend this together. I use the bullet end more than I use the brush tip. I've had to, the ladies that come to my class, I've had to have them just use the bullet tip to start learning how to blend, because I've had a few of them use my brush tip and it just gets completely destroyed, because I think our tendency anytime that, I'm going to do this one darker just so it looks different. Anytime that we're trying to learn something, so like if we're learning how to blend, I don't know why it is in our head that we have to push hard. And so when they use my brush tip, they're pushing down really hard, and it frays the ends. And so so I've learned that the best way to teach them to blend and not have to push hard is to let them use the bullet tip. And now most of my ladies are like super good at blending and using the blending pens. And so I did have a class the other day where they were all shocked because I said, you're going to be using the brush tip end. And they're like, what? You never let us use the brush tip end. But I felt like they had graduated. They were ready to use that tip or that end. And they did really well. My blends came back and they were in the brush tip end was in good shape. So it's all about the pressure, because the biggest thing to understand when you're blending is that it's not about the pressure as much as it is about the saturation. It's the wetter you can get it, the better it will push out and blend. Okay, and then I've got to do one more of these. I apologize. And I'll probably just do this later. I'm just going to show you you know, I'll color it later so you guys don't have to watch me color it. But I'm going to put another one of these here, and then I'll color that later for the inside. So I'll end up not putting this on the inside of this card. But you guys, I just showed you how to color it, so you've got the coloring part down. All right. All right, so again, I'm going to come in here, and just like I did with that first card, if you want to save these strips on the end, just take your scissors and fussy cut. I mean, not fussy cut, just cut along that line right there. And then you can stamp some sentiments on that, and it actually works really good because it's doubled up. All right, so this one I'm going to have to, that's going to have to be my cut, kind of. All right, so let's cut these apart so I can fit them on my small machine. And we're going to cut these out again with that die. And then we'll be ready to build this card. Woohoo! Last card for this morning. I'm so excited that you guys joined me today. And I hope I'm showing you some good inspiration for your paper pumpkin kits. All right, so let's kind of tape that in place. Don't forget, if you guys have any questions about anything I'm doing, you can pop them in the comments. I think you know, when we're doing these, we think we're explaining everything to you guys. And then sometimes what we say doesn't make sense. Sometimes you're new to stamping and it sounds like we're speaking a foreign language, which I get because we get our own lingo going with our card making. And especially within Stamping Up, because we have our products. Because I learned that right off the bat, because in scrapbooking, our dimensionals, which are the things that add pop things up, in scrapbooking, those were called pop dots. And so when I first started with Stampin' Up, I'm like, what the heck is a dimensional? I did not know what a dimensional was. And then I was like, oh, pop dots. So it's funny how each industry or each company calls things something different. But yeah, Stampin' Up, they're basically, in the world of scrapbooking, it's the pop dots. We call them dimensionals. But it was kind of funny when I first started. I was like, I don't even know what they're talking about. And then I was like, oh, I do know what they're talking about. All right, let's get this last one cut out, and then we're going to put this fun card together. So for this card, you do have to bring in two 4 by 5 1/4 basic white pieces. You're going to need 2 of those for this card. And you saw me already kind of do one because I stamped on it. All right, let's get this out of the way, and then we're ready to put, ooh, I almost threw my die in the trash can. Not good, not good. All righty, so this is the one that we're gonna use, remember those strips that I cut at the beginning? And so we're gonna bring in a white 4 by 5 1/4. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 2 that are 1 by 4, and they're going to go on our ends. And we're going to leave about 1/16 of an inch of the white on that edge showing. So let's get this on here. Okay, so as I lay this down, it's going to be flush to the top and the bottom. And it's literally about I'm going to say that's about 1/16 of an inch. Sorry, I got to pull that back up because I didn't get my bottom edge quite flush. Hold on, come on, you can do it. I didn't think I had pushed that down. I try not to push it down too tight until I'm happy with my placement. Okay, so then here's my other 4-inch one. It's going to go on the right side. It's going to go over here. Okay, and then we've got, so then we have like one that is 1 by 3 3/4, 1 by 3 1/2, and 1 by 3 1/4. So we're going to take that 3/4, the 1 by 3 3/4, and it's going to go in this, it's going to be like centered between these two. All right. So this one I need it to be centered, and top and bottom it can be closer to one edge than the other. That's fine. All right, so I believe I've got that pretty much centered. Okay, so now these two are going to be popped up. Now I'm going to bring in my bigger dimensionals just so that this goes faster, but you can definitely use the dimensionals that are in your kit. So I'm just going to put 3, and I'm putting these right down the middle, and the reason being is we're going to be sticking some flowers behind these. So it's really important that this placement goes right down the middle. Okay, so before I pop these up and put them on, I'm going to actually put this onto my card base. I try to, when I'm working with dimension or things that I'm popping up, I try to build as much as I can off, and then before I pop everything up, the parts that are going to be popped up, I actually will put like this piece on my card front, just because it's a little bit easier to get your adhesive on here when it's a flat surface on the back, and you're not having to try to get that on there when you've got some different levels here on the front. Okay, so I am going to put the shorter one over here on the left side. And it's going to be offset from these other two. And then the longer one is going to go over here. And it's going to be up here a little higher, where I'm still seeing some white at the top. All right, so that's what it's going to look like so far. Now we're going to add our flowers, and you want your flowers to be on the card base. And so what I had to do on this side was I had to come in and just kind of do a little snip right like that, so that when I put it under here, I could like get part of this to go above it. And that was just enough to keep it on my card base. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some liquid glue here. And then for this one, I'm going to be putting this particular flower, I'm going to be putting the dimensionals on after I get it like glued in place here. So I'm going to push those two down. Now you want to use the dimensionals that came in your kit, because you want your small ones now. And so all I did was just kind of looked. I want one right here behind this leaf. I want one right there to catch this. And then I want one right here to be right behind that piece. So now I just need to pull the tops of those off. And then push that down. Okay, so that's going to hold that one. So there's that one. The next one that we want to add is going to kind of go down behind this one, but I need it to be low enough so that it doesn't get messed up with that one. So this time you can see I need to put liquid glue here, here, and here, and then I need a dimensional behind here and here. Now I'm going to put those dimensionals on first. And I just want to make sure, yes, it was this leaf. Okay, and then my liquid glue is going to go here, here, and here. So let's pull those tabs off. And this one is going to slide in like so. And what I'm trying to do is not let that bottom stem come out from behind there. Okay, there's that one. Now for this last flower, we have to kind of trim because we need it to shove up underneath there. And so I'm just going to trim this right side up to this top flower, like so. And I'm going to come in and try to make this as even as I can so that it looks right. All right. And then here's my dry run. So my dry run tells me kind of where I need to put things. So that's going to go underneath there. This is going to pop up here, and this is going to pop up. So so this piece and this piece are going to get the glue. And then we're going to do a pop up here and a pop up here. And then again, you guys notice I do a lot of dry runs where, you know, I figure out where I want it, and then I go back a couple of times just to make sure it's getting placed where I want it to be placed. So now I can pull these off. Okay, I'm going to slide that under there. And that's going to go there, that's going to go there, that's going to go there. Okay, so there's our flowers. Sorry, I got to move all this stuff out of my way. I'm starting to get heavy with all the extra stuff. Okay, so for this one, we're going to stamp the I'm so lucky to have you. I'm trying to decide, look which way it goes. I'm so lucky to have you as a friend. I think that's this one. Yep. And so again, I'm just bringing in my gray granite. If you guys choose, you could do this in Calypso Coral ink, whatever you choose. Mossy Meadow ink, you know, whatever color you want. You could do it in black. I kind of like this softer look with the sentiments. And so I'm kind of liking using the gray granite. All right, and then this is going to just barely go on this. And this little orange strip is what came in your paper pumpkin kit. The sentiment label and this little orange strip. So I'm just gonna barely connect this like so. Okay, and then I kind of lay it down to see, like, so I know I'm going to need liquid glue back here, but I'm going to need 2 dimensionals on each of these ends here. Again, guys, I do a lot of dry runs before I glue things down, because I just want to make sure that I'm putting glue in the right place and that I have it nice and secure on the card. Because you don't want to go to all this work and then have this completely fall apart. Now this is going to be more towards the right. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our sequence. And we're just going to take like a big one, and it's going to go right here on this middle one. And then I think we'll do another big one. I always try to do kind of a triangle, and then we're going to bring in a small one, and it's going to go over here. Okay, again, this will be on the inside, and you can stamp whatever sentiment you want on this one, okay? But that's going to be the front, and then this will be colored. It'll go on the inside, and you can add whatever sentiment you want for the inside. All right, so that is card 3. What do you guys think? I hope you like these alternatives. And again, I mainly made this with the Old Olive card base. Let me pull these all back in now. So these are the 3 cards that were made with the Old Olive card base, the Old Olive envelope, And then obviously, like I told you, you're going to need one more of, when I talk about the pocket of the envelope, when you cut these envelopes apart, you end up with this whole piece that's just white. That's what I call the pocket. And so we kind of needed 2 of those. So, and you don't, or you could have, if you don't want to, if you didn't want to, sorry, if you didn't want to cut up another envelope, you could have stamped that on a piece of white and done that. So these are my 3 alternatives from, again, the old olive card base. This is the front of the card base. This was the back of the card base. This was the inside of the envelope. And then these flowers came from an inside of an envelope. And then I just added some cardstock to these. So hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will be back. I don't know if I'm coming later today. I may do another early morning tomorrow for my last 3 that I did and designed for the class. So everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon. And thanks for those of you that joined me. So happy to have people on with me.